Okay, welcome back again to the Are You Strong show. Where do you hear the accolades on this person who's on the show? College swimmer, college swimming coach. But I'm going to go backwards in time and just talk about what this young woman has accomplished while she was swimming at the University of Texas, which is the premier powerhouse of all college swimming. But 11-time All-American, three-time Big 12 champion, team captain, led the University of Texas to four straight top 10 NCAA finishes, first team ESPN, the magazine All District, academic All American. And she did all this while she was majoring in kinesiology. For those who don't know, it's probably one of the hardest majors that's out there. But this is neat. She was awarded the VF Doc Newhouse Endowed Presidential Scholarship, which is the highest honor in Texas women athletics. Now that's pretty neat. But let's go to her career. She graduates from University of Texas and she starts an unbelievable coaching career. And I'm probably gonna get the dates and the things wrong, but started out University of Virginia, where she contributed to the team. They won six ACC team championships. Six. She just took her Texas winnings to Virginia. Then she traveled up here to the great state of New Jersey to work at Rutgers for a little bit and helped them raise to fifth place in the Big East. Then goes on to Tulane, head coach at Tulane, broke and this is crazy. Broke every school swimming record the school had, which is just incredible. Then coaches Olympic swimmers. Two of them won the Olympic bronze medal, which is nuts. Then on to Northwestern, where the second woman in Power Five history to oversee both men's and women's program, and brought the team to the highest national poll ranking in the school's history. I mean, I'm going on and on. I could go for another 20 minutes. Um, but then to Stanford, 2025 national runner-up finish, three NCAA individual champions, 2024 NCAA fifth place finish. Stanford remains the only program never to finish outside of the top 10. Hopefully I got that right. That's just nuts. But 34 NCAA All-Americans. Like that's just like holy crap. Um, but I just want to welcome to the show Katie Robinson.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Jeff. That was a very generous
Yeah.
introduction. I appreciate
I
it.
I don't know how that's just you know what else I forgot there? I omitted Team USA,
Oh, right.
right? Team USA, 21 world records.
Oh my gosh. That was a wild short course championships in Budapest this past December, and Team USA was on incredible fire, and it was
But
really cool to be a part of that.
but this 39 total medals, 18 gold, 13 silver, and 8 bronze. That's just like incredible. You just took the powerhouse swimming world of University of Texas to everything you touched.
I I mean I love so much about what I get to do in working with high level athletes, and my internal drive is deep seated within me, and I just love that I got to do that for so long in my career.
Yeah, it's just it's a heck of a journey. So I have a ton of questions to ask you, right?
Sure.
But before I start peppering you with questions, can you just do me a quick favor? Just tell the audience just a little bit about yourself.
A little bit about me. I grew up in Indiana, very small town, very blue collar kind of work mentality, and I always have been a teacher at heart. So my mom was in the education system, and a lot of my siblings went through various careers of teaching as well. And so, with the like high level of work ethic, and then the teaching as a you can always grow and learn and keep getting better, like those paired together kind of allowed me to kind of break any kind of barrier that I had ever set for myself, and that others would potentially look at me and set for me as well. So we spoke earlier when we were just hopping on this call about like I'm a pretty short person, like I'm not that intimidating by stature, and I love to prove that I can do anything that I set myself
Yeah.
out for. And so that has been like a driving force behind me as an athlete, but then also me as a coach in the career, and that's really driven me to again explore different opportunities and coach at some really cool institutions and meet so many amazing athletes throughout the years that I've just been so grateful to work with.
That's it's incredible what you've accomplished. So let's go backwards in time. Let's go to coming out of high school, recruiting, University of Texas, and I had the pleasure of interviewing, I think I mentioned to you when we spoke on the phone, Trevor Maida, the one
Oh
of the
yeah.
assistant coach at Texas. And that's when that's the first time I learned about the incredible track record of University of Texas swimming, men and women. I
Yeah.
think it's like 28 or 29 national championships since 1980 combined,
Yeah.
right? And you're part of that,
To
right?
some extent, yeah.
Yeah, so can you talk about recruiting, what it was like for you being recruited out of high school compared to you were doing it yourself, going now
Mhm.
as a head coach, recruiting, assistant coach, recruiting. Can you talk about the differences when you were getting recruited to the craziness that's going on now?
Right. It's a very different landscape from when I got recruited back in the day. I was getting recruited back in 2003, so yeah, let's think that was my senior year in high school is when I was getting recruited and I got recruited by a lot of the top level kind of swim programs at the time, and I got to narrow down. So I was very fortunate with that. But taking recruiting trips was a very much you don't decide before then, like you decide on your recruiting trips, you go through all 4 or 5 of them, and then you decide after. And oh my gosh, like it was so fun being recruited, but also like a world was like opening up because again, I'm from very small town
Yeah,
Indiana, and so it was just kind of shocking to me that people were even paying attention to the progress that I've had in swimming. Um, so yeah, I think it was a wild experience and I loved it. I remember my Texas trip. It was September, so the sun was like beating down and we were in the football stadium. I think they said it was like 104-degree temperatures outside and I had this Longhorn sticker on my face.
yeah,
And I got like a suntan with the Longhorn on my face and I remember being so proud of
yeah,
that.
yeah,
And that's when I was like, I think I might want to be a Longhorn. And then sure enough, months later, I decided that that's where I
yeah.
wanted to go.
Now, how did you make that decision? Were your parents involved, friends involved, coaches? Were you doing it by yourself? How'd that go down?
Yeah, I've been again very fortunate. I've had parents that are super supportive of me, and there was like the scholarship element. So talking with them and making sure they were comfortable with what that overall cost would be at various
Yeah,
institutions, and so they were involved in that. My swim coach has been a huge part of my life. She was kind of like a second mom to me in many ways, and so she was really a good sounding board for me as well. And then I just used my own intuition with things, how I felt on the recruiting trip, how the coaching calls or the recruiting calls were going
yeah,
throughout that process. And I got a good amount of attention, so that felt good. And then it just really came down to like, where did I feel like I could succeed and where do I feel like I could make an impact? And
yeah.
Texas was the answer for me.
So what was it like walking on campus as a freshman, knowing you were going into such a powerhouse program?
Very intimidating.
Yeah,
Very much also exciting. Like I love new beginnings. I love new chapters, and I think we quickly bonded as a freshman squad within the greater Texas swimming squad. And Texas at the time did a lot of awesome um, like what do you call that? Like orientation things
yeah.
from a female athlete kind of standpoint. So you really got to know some of the other athletes at Texas really quickly through this orientation thing. And we did
Hmm.
silly skits at night to like,
Yeah,
and all that kind of stuff that was really fun and exciting. And I do remember my very first swim meet at Texas. It was a total like failed experience for me because I didn't swim all that well. And I remember my coach sitting me down and was like, "You are not in Indiana anymore. Like you're in the big leagues. Like we need to make sure we have performances that support the
yeah,
big
yeah.
leagues." And it
Now,
was a really
what
good
event did you
moment.
swim?
I'm sure I swam like one of those things. It was one of those meets where you swim so many different events. I'm sure I think it was the after my 100 fly, which was my kind of marquee event in high school, I didn't perform all that well. And I think there was like an expectation,
Yeah.
obviously, obviously. And the coach had really a good impact on me because it didn't make me feel bad. It just made me
Yeah.
feel like, oh, I can do
You
better,
can do
you know?
better.
Yeah.
And butterfly, that's got to be the hardest one out of all of them, isn't it?
I mean, it's definitely the most like taxing, I think.
Yeah. I
Uh,
mean, it looks like it's the hardest one to do.
it is exhausting and it's a very beautiful stroke.
Yeah. So how about today? Fast forward to today.
Mhm.
What's it like recruiting these young men and women today into the swimming world compared to when you were getting recruited?
Oh my gosh. Well, one, there's this network of swimming news called Swim Swam that is like widespread. So there's a lot more that's known about each program and
Okay.
stats on each program that just weren't really readily available when I was getting recruited. Also the impact of social media and all of that, because that was one
NIL.
thing. And NIL is another piece. Yeah, it's just drastically changed. And still, the elements that still remain true are it's all about building the relationship, you know,
Yeah.
and I think I maintained that sincerity in recruiting. And I know that we weren't the most like flashy at times, you know, when it comes to recruiting, but if I did my job right and the way that I really like to do my job would be to like recruit the person wholly and just go from that angle and see what comes of it.
Yeah. Now, do you see that the parents are much more involved today because of the money and the craziness, or are they, or maybe they're backing off?
I I mean, one of the things that I've done the last like at least specifically the last 8 years of recruiting, I think I've really leaned into the parent as a key stakeholder, you know, with the recruit. And I think it's important. One, you're recruiting younger now, so like we're recruiting juniors in high school, and the parental involvement is just a little bit more
Yeah.
before they go on to becoming a senior. And so noticing all the ways that a parent can have an influence on that decision. But also, like, it's all, I think a lot when we recruit parents is about making sure that they feel comfortable sending their daughters or
Yeah.
their sons to be at an institution under our care as coaches.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that comfort level comes from time, spending
Yeah.
time with the parents. And so, yeah, we definitely focused a lot on recruiting parents as well as the athlete.
So what's the rule now? When can you say hello to an athlete? Is it junior
In
year?
person?
Yeah.
Yeah, in person, August 1 before their junior year.
Okay. Now, when can you start twittering them or social media in them?
June 15 prior to their junior year.
So not much before.
So no, there's like a couple months basically, and then you can have face-to-face
So
interaction.
how has the social media world? Because I go back to my years getting recruited out of high school. You don't even want to know when that was. Um, there was like it was done via like mail.
Oh, oh
You
yeah,
got a
like
let.
mail. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yes. I
Yeah.
remember getting questionnaires in the mail when I
Yeah.
was getting
Yeah.
recruited too. That was
But there was no email. This is like,
no.
like paper mail. Like, hey, we're interested in talking to you. Fill out this form if you're interested in pursuing this further. And we
Yeah.
fill it out. I'm like, oh my God, so excited. And you send it back. You would go to the mailbox every day looking for where's the next letter,
Yeah.
and but they would then they would call you on the phone, right? But if you weren't home, you
Oh
got
my
no,
gosh.
right? There was
Yes.
no voicemail. There was no caller ID. There was no call waiting. There was like if they hoped you were home.
Right.
It was like crazy then, but it
That's
was
wild.
simple. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I remember early in my career as a coach, like I remember taking like folders, like physical folders of kids home
Yeah.
with me to then make those calls too.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just
Isn't that nuts? Isn't that nuts? So, well, how about this? I mean, you had a tremendous, tremendous college career. What inspired you to say, I'm gonna build my career as a coach now?
ah, that it was sophomore year when I was really trying to figure out what I wanted to do, what I wanted to study, because you had to declare your major at the end of sophomore year. And I went from everything from like being on Broadway as um, like a musical performer to you ended up obviously wanting to be a coach. But I went through all the things, and my teammates will say that it was a fun time of year because every week I changed my mind. And it was honestly, my dad kept saying, like, I think you would really enjoy studying kinesiology. And I remember at some point I remember being like, Dad, what are you even talking about? I don't even know what that word
What is it?
means. Yeah. And then I learned a little, then I researched and learned a little bit more. And then honestly, my coach in college that year, Jill Sturkle is her name. She's a multi-year Olympian, like I think four-time Olympian in swimming, has made an incredible name for herself and was a beloved coach of ours. And the impact that she had on me beyond just obviously swimming fast, but like
Yeah,
as a whole person growing and becoming my own and really encouraging us to like be our authentic selves and to be
yeah,
weird and beautiful and wonderful, it was a really cool experience getting to swim for somebody like that. And I remember thinking, I want to grow up and be like her. And so I got into coaching, or I started studying kinesiology more
right.
seriously. And then I like fell in love with that. And I totally could geek out about exercise physiology
Hmm.
at any point and continue to do
But
so.
isn't that major what most doctors major in before they become doctors, go on to
It
med school?
I don't know about most, but it definitely is a path. It
Yeah,
definitely is a path because it has all the medical, like it's anatomy, it's
yeah,
your physiology,
yeah.
it's
And the reason why I'm bringing that up because that's one of the harder majors out there.
it was tough, but I
Yeah,
didn't even see it as tough at times because I just loved it. So
yeah.
I like drank the Kool-Aid for sure.
That's awesome. So, you know, coaching, is a tough sport.
Mhm.
And you look at what you've accomplished, and from what I looked up with the stats wise, like from in this, especially in the swimming side, it's like it's a male dominated profession,
Mhm.
right? Like, what did you realize? Like, you were like one of the elite coaches in that world of a male dominated profession.
Um, it's not, I don't know that there was like a moment that I was like, oh, but there were definitely moments, especially when I was at Tulane University, where I would be at NCAA's and I'd look around the deck, or I'd be in the head coaches meeting prior to the meet starting, and I'd be like, very few women were in
Yeah,
that meeting with me. And so I think you just start to like kind of notice things and observe things. And then you lean into the support of each other, so like I made some really great other females who were coaches too, and then
yeah,
you build community within that small space to then support each other to hopefully grow and become more confident in that space, I think. And so, and not just women, I also had like a great group of male
yeah.
counterparts as well. But yeah, I think there are times when I focused perhaps too much on like I'm a female coach, and I
Hmm.
had some really great insight and some great advice from other coaches that reminded me like don't think just as a female coach, like think of like yourself as just period a coach who's
Coach.
wanting to excel and exceed, and doing that will help broaden the landscape of like coaching
Yeah.
hopefully for others to like follow in that
Now,
footstep.
do the men's team and the women's team, when you guys are all practicing and everybody is together doing things, or they keep things separate?
A lot of times in swimming, you can train together. So the training pool, men and women are in the same lanes, everybody
Yeah.
like doing a lot of the same training elements. There are training elements that are stronger suited for women than for men at times, but the same training elements can benefit everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
So who are some, and you already mentioned a couple, but who were some of your coaching influences as you were building your career?
Yeah, I mean, Mark Bernardino, he was my first like full-time boss at Virginia. He had 30 plus years of experience winning at Virginia. And so getting to be a young staff member on his like coaching staff was eye-opening. Like I feel like I learned so much from him, and the motivational tactics that he used were definitely interesting and sometimes uncomfortable for me.
Yeah.
And then I like kind of like learned how to like either like take the pieces of it that I thought would work for me later on in my career, or just like truly observe and learn and see kind of how he's used his tactics over the
Yeah.
years. And so getting to be with like such a high performing environment of coaches and athletes right from the start of my career, I just kind of took that and ran with it. And then I've had amazing mentors in my life. So Susan Teeter, I never worked directly with her, but she coached at Princeton for many years, and she was a huge supporter of me early in my career, making sure that I felt that I could do anything, and not selling myself short when it comes to that. She was the one who encouraged me to apply for my first head coaching role at Tulane. Yeah. And then, I mean, Greg Meehan has been a longtime mentor to me. He's now the national team director. So he's in charge of like Team USA success.
Yeah.
And, but he hired me as a grad assistant right out of Texas. So I guess that's technically my first stop as a coach, was a grad assistant. But he stayed involved in my whole career, and a great support network for me as well. And when I had the opportunity, when he called me to come out to Stanford to work for him 2 years ago, there was no way
Couldn't
in
turn it
my
down.
head that I would
Yeah.
ever turn him down. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
He took a chance on me when I was
Yeah.
22 years old, and I am forever and will be forever grateful for that. And
Right.
it was really cool to get to work with him on a day in, day out basis and
Yeah.
learn from his expertise. And
Right.
man, I learned so much. And it's crazy because like I was kind of later in my career, and I had been a coach for so many years prior to that, but I still feel like the amount of growth I still had was amazing. It was
Yeah.
incredible.
So when you're out there, let's use that last position as an example. Like, what are you looking at? What are you observing? You say, hey, that's pretty neat. I'm going to use that. I'm going to take that. I'm going to make that my own too. And that's just a great thing to do as a coach. What do you look for?
Man, everything. Like I was very much a sponge, while still obviously like you want to make impact and all that. But I think at first you learn, you observe and you learn and you ask a lot of questions. And so
Hmm.
there were lots of questions that Greg fielded to help me continue to like learn and grow and also like be a really great asset for him. Because that's the other thing when you're in a coaching team, when you're the head coach, it's a different skill set that you use when you're an assistant coach. And I was going in as an associate head coach, which is a glorified assistant, to Greg, and he already had awesome culture. He already had like this level of what it takes to succeed from the X's and O's of coaching. And my role was very clearly in my head of like how to support him being the best coach that he could be, and taking care of the things that I obviously was in charge
Yeah.
of. But I think that I always joke that like being an assistant coach is the most underrated um, role that you can play on a team. I think it's so fun to be a support. And when you really believe in the head coach, you can do that in pretty amazing ways.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was fun.
So did you pick up anything where you said, man, if I would have known that back here,
Oh my
things
gosh.
would have been different. Anything
Yes.
stand out?
So many things. It's going to be hard for me to like articulate exactly what those things are. There were some X's and O things about training and kind of leading the way that Greg managed the Monday mornings and the Friday mornings, of like kind of easing into the week on Mondays and then kind of also giving them a little bit of a breathing space on Friday mornings, from like the cumulative work that we've already put in that week, to be able to be successful then on a Saturday morning, because that was usually like a big test set kind of day. Um, yeah, there was just some things that I learned there that I was always like a hard pusher of athletes, and I didn't ever want to take a practice where to like ease off, but I really now value the importance of like kind of like moderate level of efforts
Yeah.
sustained over the practice, and how beneficial that can be. And yeah, and then also the mental training that he did, that he led with the athletes. I think one of the ways that we were really like high performing in 2024 at the Olympic trials as a group of athletes was because of the step by step methodical approach to Olympic trials that year, that really helped our athletes like be incredibly successful at that. Like people were finaling and making, Tori made the Olympic team there, but like we had so many people finaling and swimming like second, third, and third swims and advancing from semifinals to finals. And it was like in this like incredibly high pressure,
Yeah.
fast-paced environment. And so just the way that we approach that, and we utilized alumni from the past that have been there and done that, like people like Katie Ledecky and Maya Dorado, really engaged with our team in ways that was really special and meaningful to the athletes, but also like incredibly helpful when it comes to
Yeah.
handling pressure under like really high stakes.
I think as a person who just watches swimming on TV,
Hmm.
right? Sometimes you watch, you say, how hard can that be? Right? Like, come on, they're swimming in a pool.
Yeah.
But can you talk to how difficult that sport of swimming is? Like it's not a walk through the park.
It's not, and there's nothing, I mean, we're not on ground. We are just like in a fluid environment and we're trying to propel ourselves forward.
Yeah.
So it's incredible. It's very different than a lot of other sports. The cross training really doesn't exist. You have to swim faster in a
Yeah.
lot of ways. Obviously, there's a lot of like strength training elements that are being really successful with athletes these days. So that's not to downplay that part, but the actual swimming, like honestly, anybody can get in a pool and swim 125 as fast as you can and see how high your heart rate gets.
Yeah.
You'll
Oh
be
yeah.
impressed.
Yeah.
You'll be
But
impressed. It's
is that, but then
incredibly,
the
yeah,
the super long distance,
yeah,
that's incredible.
yep. The endurance of it. I mean, we train the way that we train, and there's some curiosities that I have now, like now that I'm kind of stepping away from coaching, but I think the way that we train is a very endurance-based kind of sport, even though most of our races are like 2 minutes and under, or right around that 2 minute mark. But then there's the endurance piece that is just, it is incredible. It's incredible. It's incredible to coach. I was more of a sprint athlete myself, so I'm like mesmerized by what people can do,
Yeah.
because that was never my strength as an athlete. So it's still quite impressive to me too.
It's incredible. And you got somebody like Katie, like you mentioned, Katie Ledecky. Like she's been the best in the world for how long now?
I mean, yeah, I would have to look back
10 years.
again, but I mean, yeah, she was breaking barriers like as a 13-year-old kid in
Yeah.
Virginia. Like, yeah.
She's like what, 4 Olympics? I think it is, or more. I
Yeah.
don't even know.
Oh, at least for
Yeah.
20, I can't, yeah. I
A
would have
lot.
to fact check
A
myself.
lot. But
Yeah.
just think about like she's the best in the world. There's nobody better in the world
And
for
nobody has
that.
even been close to
Yeah.
touching her
Yeah.
in
For
years.
that long of a time. It's
I
like she's
know.
not human.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she is. She's incredibly an awesome human.
Yeah. You know?
But yeah, it's in what the entirety of her like
Yeah.
accomplishments is incredible.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
You got to stop saying it's unbelievable. It's got to be believable because she's doing it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's just
Yeah.
awesome. So you've coached a lot of great athletes,
Mm.
you know, all American swimmers, Olympic, medalists. What do you see as a common thread between all these people that are that good?
Yeah. I think the discipline to the tiniest detail
Mm,
is what I have seen time and time again show up with high performing athletes. They are trying to squeeze every little ounce out of every little technical shape of the hand, how it pulls through the water, or maybe they're like their strength training and how they want to make some gains and have more muscle mass in some way to help them finish their races. Um, just like the minute details and the
yeah,
discipline to like carry that day
yeah,
in, day out and be really good at that. Um, that's something that keeps showing up. And then the hunger for sure. Like, but I will say a lot of the athletes at this collegiate level, like people are hungry for it. Like there's a
yeah,
lot that exists with just the desire for that that doesn't come from anything external. It is like
yeah.
fully within
Internal.
themselves. Yeah.
Now, I've interviewed a number of coaches, and I try to ask similar questions,
Mhm.
and I almost hear the same answers, right? It's almost like they're easier to coach because they're obsessed with being better,
Yes.
that they want to do so much more. It just makes the coach's job a little easier. Does that make sense?
I mean, easier is a hard word to use. Definitely different.
Different.
I think, yeah, because I mean, in a lot of ways, at Stanford, we were there to kind of pull people back from like overworking, because people will overwork like crazy when they have this like crazy internal drive. So
Yeah.
it's pulling them back and reminding them of like like helping them work through failure, because failure can be a really hard thing when you're such a high performing and you've had
Yeah.
so much success at a certain
Yeah.
level, and then you move on and you're trying to create that same level of success on this bigger stage. And you have to fail to be able to like become better. And
Yeah.
working through that has been extremely rewarding kind of way of coaching the elite athletes.
Yeah. You coach them through their obsession,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
which
Like
is
when
pretty
it's
good.
okay to be like that high level crazy obsessed, and then
Yeah.
when we need to like let go of some things and move forward. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, talk about the mental side for a minute. Because every time if you think of an athlete, you think of the gym, you think of the pool, you think of the field, you think of the court and their physical abilities. Talk about the mental side and what kind of mental challenges have your athletes faced,
Mm.
and how did you help them overcome that?
I mean, it's more like what haven't I faced? I think there's a lot. I mean, I think when it comes time to stand up behind the block and race and put your best foot forward, um, everything has already been done from a physical standpoint. It's so much a mental game at that point. And so our job as coaches not only are the X's and O's that get them the physicalness of being ready, but if you totally negate the fact that the mental game is such like a huge important in the high performing moments, you're totally missing the point. So I think there's not only when you're coaching are you doing the X's and O's and building confidence in what they can accomplish. So you're building competence and you're building confidence, and you can do that really closely together if you just pay attention and really be mindful of like giving them some really good impactful
Yeah.
feedback through those training sessions. And so it's not like you don't need to talk about it as like a totally separate item. I think incorporating that into the training and allowing them to see their progress, that builds confidence. And
Yeah.
then talking about like nervousness does not mean that you're not ready. That was like a big thing that we kept saying, like, just because you're nervous doesn't mean you're not ready. Like,
Yeah.
it's just like an elevated arousal state that you're trying to like, that you'll need to like sit in and like kind of work through. But everything that you need to succeed is already
Yeah.
within you.
Now, how did you, along the same lines, I'm sure you had some of your athletes who they just handled pressure no problem, right?
Yes, or like that heightened arousal state is like really good for them,
Yeah.
right? Like they
Yeah.
know how to perform. Like that's sometimes needed for our like really elite
Yeah.
performers at Stanford, I remember. So having that, like putting somebody in that anchor spot on a relay, you know which person to pick because that person is like, they want
They
to
want
chase.
it.
Yeah, they want to chase and run somebody
Yeah.
down. Yeah, that's like that. That's part of their mojo of like what makes them tick.
Yeah.
So that's good.
So you said it a couple of times without saying this word, but you talked about all of the coaches that you valued your experience with them, their influence over you, which really becomes a word trust,
Yeah.
right? Like how do you build and establish trust as a coach with your athletes? Because if the athletes don't trust your leadership, it's kind of hard to coach them.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that you have to have that, I feel like. Um, or you'll really limit your like what you can achieve together. I think in any kind of partnership, and I sense like a coach and athlete is a partnership. You have to like trust is such a foundational element of any kind of relationship. And so I think honestly, I think recruiting starts that element of trust,
Hmm.
and I think if you do a good job of really getting to know them and understanding what their goals are, what they're like too scared to say goals are, but they
Hmm.
tell you and they have trust in you to share that with you, and like the way that you treat that and I think really starts that level of trust in the relationship, and then you carry that on. And I think a lot of coaches like, oh, we got the recruit, and then they forget to call them, and I'm like, no, like this is a relationship building thing still. Like you still
Yeah.
want to be able to spend time and connect with them and cheer them on, be ready to like, you just have to have like attention, I think.
Yeah.
Attention is love, and um Yeah, paying attention to them as a person and what they're going through when they're not like right in front of you, I think helps build that trust. So when they get to campus, you have all these moments where you were there for them in a way that like supported them, cheered them
Yeah.
on through their wins, and like hopped on a call to like help them, work through their failures too. Yeah, it just makes that starting point so much higher than if you didn't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to use the word transfer, two words, transfer portal,
Oh, yeah.
right? Back when I was in school, nobody transferred anywhere. And if you did, you were like an outcast because that's,
Yeah.
yeah,
It
right.
was so rare, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And usually the kids who transferred out were kids that you wanted them to leave,
Yeah. It
you
was kind of
know?
like, yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
It's like, good, they're gone.
Hmm.
But now it's just like commonplace. Like, hey, you transferred? Okay. Like, how did you handle that as a coach, knowing that your kids can walk into your office tomorrow and say, I'm out of here?
Yeah. When that started becoming a lot more common in swimming, because I think there's some protection mechanisms with swimming that allowed us to not be amongst the top level of like the types of or the yeah, other sports had transfer portal be bigger in the recruiting process than swimming. I think swimming maybe the last like 3 years it's become bigger. But then there was the COVID thing of like the fifth year and you could spend your
Hmm.
fifth year somewhere else. And so
Yeah.
like that element was crazy to work through because you didn't like suddenly, and if your institution didn't support them on like whatever number of scholarships, like you had to really be choosy of like who
Yeah.
you were going to welcome back to the team. And of course, you're talking about that when the athletes are still on your team, and you don't want that to undermine somebody who's not getting that offer to
Yeah.
come and spend another year with you guys. Like it was a wild dynamic to handle.
Yeah.
That was if you asked the question of like what have I learned that I would go back and do differently, I would definitely do some things differently in that. I mean, we were all trying to do the best we could in that
Yeah.
COVID rules and all of that. Um, but yeah, I think the transfer portal, it's interesting because I think it used to have a negative stigma. It no
Yeah.
longer has that. It is a trickier thing to manage your roster when you don't know who's going to leave and who's going to come in.
Yeah.
I think that that's really a thing that you don't have control over, yet you're supposed to manage it.
Yeah.
And so that can be really
And
tricky.
then you're supposed to win on top of that.
I know. You're supposed to keep the main thing,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
win.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to also treat them as humans and as whole people when like if you really think about it, you can get into that business mindset and
Oh,
stop
yeah.
being as human as you really want to be. And I
Yeah.
think, at pieces of my career, I think I got a little bit sideways on some things that I would go back and do differently. Um, but yeah, it was a really tricky and
Yeah.
continues to be a really tricky element. And you have to use it though. Like you
Yeah.
can't just look sideways and be like, we're not going to recruit in the transfer portal. Like
Right.
you have to be successful. And so,
Well, if you look at the schools today, the teams today, that I don't care what sport you're talking about, if you don't you get involved, you end up losing,
yes, 100%.
because it's hard to build within anymore.
Yeah, it is
You know?
tough. And so I think that you spoke on it before, but that element of trust and trying to build
Yeah.
the trust in the relationships, and um it's really still hard though because you have these high performers that like maybe they trust you in the moment, but then at the end of the season they don't perform as well because they got sick or because
Yeah.
something that's like again out of
Yeah.
everybody's control, but they somehow have thought that well if I go somewhere else I can be successful, more
Yeah.
successful, and
Yeah.
so you hope you've built up enough trust that like
They
they
stay.
wouldn't just jump out, but
Yeah. But as an athlete, if I went backwards in time and my starting quarterback for the last 3 years decides to transfer out for his fifth year,
yeah.
I'd be like, what? You'd be
I
kidding me.
know. And that is the hard part about coaching. And like that's how we lose sleep. That's how we age well beyond our years. Like that keeps us
Yeah.
up at night. Like
Yeah.
that is the hard piece because you're so emotionally invested in
Yeah.
each of your players. And for them to be like, no thanks, I'm going to go elsewhere. This
Yeah.
isn't good enough for me is like so incredibly heartbreaking and it
Yeah,
feels personal. And I know they say
yeah,
like, don't take
yeah.
it personally, but it feels
But
personal.
you're the one who gave them the scholarship to come in on into the school
You
to start their
believed in
career
them.
anyway.
That's
Yeah,
right. You
but
believed in them before
like
others
what the heck?
did. Yep.
Ugh, I get all aggravated over that. But
Yeah.
so talk about culture then. How do you, I mean, you're a culture person. You
Yeah.
you build culture, you build teams, you build championships.
Mm.
How the heck do you build culture now when you know the kids might not be here more than 12 months?
Yeah. I, you do have to forget about that for a little bit because again, that human element, you need to be, you know, really treating them as humans and as people and as the dynamic of a team as much as you can and not think of it as a business and like people might leave and all this stuff. So I think building culture starts with um yeah attracting the right kinds of people, right, that fit your style of coaching, right? And so we talk about like it's not a good or bad choice, it's a good fit or a better fit kind of thing. And so when we're recruiting it from the first in the first round of recruiting, we'll call
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
And so I think, yeah, attracting the people that it just fits your
yeah,
program really well and your style. So that means you have to like, again, you have to get to know them really well in that recruiting
yeah.
process.
So
Um,
so what do you look for when you're recruiting an athlete to your team to what is the right fit for you?
Well, it's, I think when we're looking at recruits, some of the things that we loved to showcase at Stanford specifically was this like never back down mentality. And we had this certain kind of like style of practice that we would run on Saturday with our athletes. And we would bring the recruits in to watch that practice.
Okay.
And if it was a gnarly, like really tough, really like supportive environment, but really tough, you know? And if the athletes or the recruits looked at that and they were like, oh my gosh, I think I would
Yeah,
cry, or like if they
yeah,
backed up in any way,
you're
we
out.
were like, it's probably not going to be a good fit.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
if other athletes would be like, put me in, like, I can't
yeah,
wait to be part of this, like,
yeah.
those were the good fits. And that was our system of like understanding that.
That's the easy way to do it.
I
You
mean,
know?
that's one way. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. So when you take over a team, right, and you've done a couple of them,
Yep.
like what is the first steps that you take into, hey, I'm coming in, I'm taking over, I'm gonna build something special here. What's the first steps you take when you take over a team?
You know, okay, this is interesting because this happened to me as an athlete. We had a coaching change from junior to senior year, and I used that lens of myself and how I felt as an athlete when I suddenly became coached by somebody who didn't necessarily like pick me to be on their team, if that makes sense. And so I think whenever I come into a program in the past, my first thought would be to like be as inclusive as possible. Make sure that the team knows it's just as much their team as it is my team, and you know, really build that partnership mentality of like, let's do this together. And I can't do this without you. Like leaning on them for in different ways that are their strengths and utilizing that. I think is good. Again, it's all about that building of trust. Like
Yeah,
you want them to know that they're valued, like
right.
100% they're valued,
Yeah,
and you want them to know that you care about them, and you want them to know that you're competent in helping them get from A to B, whether that's
right.
whatever goal it is in mind. Um, so yeah, I think just leaning on those pillars of like you care about them, you're
Yeah.
competent, let's do this together, team mentality kind of work. And
Is it
start.
is it okay to, and this might sound crazy, but is it okay to tell an athlete, hey, look, I need you on this team. I need you on this team for us to win a championship. Is it okay to say that?
I think so. Yeah. In
Yeah,
fact, I would bet that a lot of athletes are probably craving that
yeah.
from a coach.
They want
A
that
lot of
need.
athletes that I've coached, yeah, they love that. Like they want to be needed. They want to
Yeah.
be
Wanted.
contributing and
Yeah,
wanted. Yeah, like that's
yeah,
a human nature across
yeah,
the
yeah,
board.
yeah.
So if you
But
can
I don't
do
know if
that
that's
in the
okay to
right
say
way,
that.
it's okay to say.
Yeah,
You don't want them to feel like they have all the power in that
right, right.
relationship,
That's
right?
where I was going to go next is maybe you give them too much, I need you. Then they're like, hey, you need me more than I need you. type of thing.
Yeah, and I mean, I faced it all as
Yeah,
a head coach at
yeah,
Northwestern and other roles that I've had too,
yeah,
where I feel like that got a little bit lopsided. And again, you live and learn, and
yeah,
you would
yeah,
have done different things maybe, but you also like you have to. It's again that trust. You have to trust that they won't take that
yeah,
and abuse you with it in any way,
yeah.
or like abuse.
Okay. So college and Olympic athletes. Oh, I think I may have lost you. Okay, so how about on the international or the USA level of coaching?
Mhm.
Is there a major difference, that really stretches you as a coach to go from, hey, I'm coaching college kids that are still really elite swimmers to, you know, Team USA?
Yeah, the difference, well, there's a few different things. One, you get selected to be on these staffs, and then suddenly you're working with all these new athletes that are all like basically the best that like maybe you have one or two on the team that are at that level, and suddenly you're coaching a whole team of them, right? But
Yeah.
you didn't help them get there because you're not their coach, right? So there's a lot of communication. Honestly, I think it's a ton of amount of communication back to their coach back home to make sure that they are getting, so you're more like service, you're more like an
Yeah.
agent to the athlete,
Okay.
making sure that they get what they need in the training camps or the training days leading up to the actual performance. And then you're there to like, hype them up and bring good energy and to make sure that they go in as confident as they can,
Yeah.
ready to like, perform at their highest, which is world championship
Yeah.
level or whatever it is, right? So it's a little bit it's a different skill set again to like then
Yeah.
just like doing the X's and O's to like support an athlete to be physically ready. And it's a little
Yeah.
bit more communication with it's kind of like it takes a village mentality.
Yeah.
You're working with their coaches back home, providing for them, making sure that they are connected with the sports medicine team to get the massages or whatever it is that their recovery modality that they need, making sure that the food that they're eating is what they need, all that kind of stuff. So it's
Like
a
their
little,
concierge.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And it's
Yeah.
so fun. Like I
Yeah.
love being that for the athletes and like talking with their coaches and being like, okay, they just split a 30.2 like on that last one.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh my God, that's amazing. And then I get to say that to the athlete directly and making sure that coach back home feels like I'm like their liaison, to the athlete and that they
Yeah.
also like they feel really involved, I think has been really fun because I love supporting coaches as well. And yeah, that's been a really fun element.
So I don't know. I don't know if you can give an answer to this, but I'm going to ask anyway. Is it more exciting to watch somebody win a national championship collegiate medal or an Olympic medal?
Oh my gosh. I mean, the Olympic medal is like just a grander stage, right?
Yeah.
So I would say probably that. And like there's a special place in my heart watching on the NCAA's the last March when our team on the very first night won gold in the 800 free relay and seeing a team do, like a relay team do that
Yeah.
is really pretty special. And
Yeah.
yeah. But
And I
like,
would imagine most of the Olympic swimmers are probably college winners and national champions
oh,
anyway,
100%. Yep.
you
Yep. They
know?
have some kind of amount of titles behind
Yeah.
their name already. Yep.
All right.
Yep.
So what's next?
Well, yeah, I've moved away from coaching because
Yeah.
I've had an awesome career and I've really been enjoying reflecting back on it the last few months since I've stepped away. And I just feel so incredibly lucky to have had such a cool experience in my background and to get to work with amazing athletes that I got to work with, and to support my colleagues around the country has been just incredibly impactful and incredibly rewarding, in ways that are hard for me to articulate. And so I'm shifting now into a different role, to be able to put more time and love and energy into my own like personal life. And because it can be so hard as a coach to do that.
A college coach life is insane.
Yes. Yes. And like I'm in the Bay Area, so it's very much a tech heavy industry. And so
Yeah.
the way that I explain it is like it's like I've been a CEO of a startup for the last 17 years. And then
Yeah.
they look at me and start to have
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
understanding.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you just work, you're doing everything from like recruiting to
Yeah.
development to, mentoring the coaches on staff to working with your fundraising team to make sure your funding is there, to engaging with the alumni for similar reasons. And
Yeah.
like, and then you're throwing events, and then you're keeping the main thing, which is performing. And
Yeah.
like, it just the wide variety of skills that you build as a coach is just
Yeah.
unbelievable. And it's like, as I've reflected and trying to like, to like write down exactly what it is. It's like the list is just like super long.
Yeah.
Um,
So do you have a path that you're looking to follow? Or you just kind of take a break and just recoup and see what's next?
yeah, I took 2 months where I didn't think about anything. I was just like, these are my
Yeah.
vacation that I've built up
Yeah.
over the years, that never got to really do. And so that was really great to visit some really cool places and see some friends and family.
Yeah.
And I've started to get back into the job search, and so that's been kind of fun. But I will say that I recognize that it'll probably take multiple months to actually land a job. And this time of year with the holidays coming up and
Yeah.
everything, it slows down a little bit. But I'm just using the opportunity to really expand who talks to me, and just
Yeah.
like learn so much. I went to an agentic AI workshop last night. Like I don't know very much about AI, and so
Yeah.
I got to learn a lot last night, and
Yeah.
that was really cool. And the people I've connected to because of that, and then they connect
Yeah.
me to that person. And it's just fascinating. And I'm very much
Yeah.
a people person. And so like connecting with people is like super fun for me. And I
Yeah.
don't lose energy. I gain energy from it.
Yeah.
Just leaning into that and having fun and keeping things open a little bit more wide at this point before
Mhm.
kind of diving into where I can make a great impact with
Yeah.
the company.
Now, is coaching still an option or no?
Not the coaching the way that I've been coaching.
Okay.
Probably moving away. Now, that's not like right now I'm helping out a friend in the area, local,
Okay.
with like a local sports club. And so I'm
Yeah.
teaching 13-year-olds how to swim faster. And that's a little fun for me, and,
Yeah.
volunteering a couple nights a week
Yeah.
to do that.
How about player development? Are you looking for that? Player development coaching type of stuff?
That could be something interesting. I think whether it's player development, what's interesting is the things that like help people be successful on the field, in the pool, are the same thing that helps people be successful in the business world.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of like pulling some really interesting parallels. And
Yeah.
if there's a way that I can support, whether it's an athlete or a business person, create really great teams and successful cultures and
Yeah.
that kind of stuff, I'm interested in that.
Cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
So I ask everybody this question. You got a lot in front of you still,
Yeah.
career-wise, right? But there's going to come a day when someone's going to look back and say, Katie Robinson, hmm. So when they do look back on the impact you've made on whoever, how do you want to be remembered? What kind of legacy do you want to leave behind?
Yeah, I mean, what's funny is I joke that I feel like I've attended my own funeral, because when I made the announcement that I was leaving coaching,
Yeah.
so many people from my past and like just
They're
reach,
shocked.
well, oh my God, they're shocked, but also they're like so warm and saying like you made such an impact on me, and all this like amazing, amazing messages that mean the world to me. And
Yeah.
so I do feel like, how do I want to be remembered? I want to be remembered in the way that they're giving me a lens to like look back and see myself. And I think it's incredibly warm. It's incredibly like supportive in a like really meaningful, like true, authentic way. And then the energy that I've always loved bringing to my athletes, like the you can do it kind of
Yeah.
mentality. Um, is just like something that I've loved doing, and I would love to be remembered that way.
Beautiful. Well, Katie, we talked about a lot of stuff,
Yeah.
right? We talked about you coming out of high school, going to Texas, and coaching, your career, the Olympics, all kinds of stuff. Is there anything we haven't touched on you think we should hit before we wrap it up?
Not from me, but Jeff, I'm interested in what's next for you. Who's your next guest?
Oof, I have to look at my calendar, but I should know that right now. But I'll look real quick. Let's see.
All right.
I'll pull it up and let's see who is next on the show. Here is going to be um I have a person named Nancy Pedersen.
Okay.
Then I have a Steph Grady, both coaches.
Nice.
And looking to tell their story
Love.
about their journey
Mm,
in the athletic space, which is kind of neat.
yeah.
So having fun. So those are my next two, but I think there's like 20 in the calendar to do, which is
Okay.
really cool. Um, but this has been great. I'm so happy to have you on. I can't wait for this to go live and let the world hear about another amazing coach and the impact that you've made on so many young people's lives. You think about it, the years you've been coaching and how many people you've touched. The
Yeah.
ripple effect has got to be incredible.
I looked that up recently, and I think it's in the number of like 700
That's
something.
crazy. And what's going to happen there is those 700 are going to touch other people,
Mm,
and they're going to take what you've taught them and they're going to use that with other people. And some of them will become coaches, and that will continue to go and continue to go. So that 700 is going to turn into thousands of people,
yeah,
you
that's
know.
cool.
So I wish you nothing but the best, and I can't wait to see what's next. I
Hmm.
might have an idea or two for you,
Okay.
but let's see what's on the horizon. And thanks for being on the show. And as I tell everybody when we wrap it up, stay strong.
Okay. Thanks so much, Jeff. You stay strong as well.